Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Horse Center Show. Tonight, we have Swiss Army Shawn and two guests. We have Kim Cantrell, works on the backside at Saratoga with trainer Christophe Clement and her lovely daughter. Your daughter's name?
Her name's Adelaide.
Adelaide. Hi, Adelaide. How are you this evening? There we go. So Shawn and I, we talk to a lot of folks in the business, and race day is the finished product, right? That's when the horses are on the track. They've gone through the training. They've gone through everybody touching them on the backside for just like getting them prepped. It's not just show up at the race and run. So for me, I always was interested in like what goes on behind the scenes. So I said, Shawn, can you help us get this figured out? So he brought you on, said that you were an expert in this. You've been doing it for a long time. So I kind of was hoping we can walk through the day in the life of a racehorse. So leading up to the race, like in the morning when it gets up, what's like the first thing that happens with the horse in the morning?
Depending on how soon they're going to race, at least where I work now with the trainer I'm with, they do what's called a cold walk, and they will walk them for 10 to 15 minutes, to kind of loosen up their muscles, get them ready to train that day. And, then they go back in their stall, they train. I've worked with a few different trainers, so they're all different. Mm-hmm. They're all very different. But they do a cold walk. And so after that, they go back in their stall, and then they do their training. And then after they train, they cool off for about a half hour. We walk them around to make sure that, they don't colic, their muscles don't seize up. Like we pretty much just kind of make sure that they are able to be comfortable back in their stall without being uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
Sure, that they've relaxed. Yeah. They've come down, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they don't tighten up. They don't colic. It's kind of like when a person works out. You don't just like run a mile and then sit on the couch.
I do. After I'm done running a mile, I don't want to do anything but sit on the couch.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. We want to make sure that their muscles don't tighten up.
Mm-hmm. I understand. So you mentioned it depends on where they are in the schedule to race day. So let's say tomorrow is race day.
Okay.
And then, so tomorrow's race day. How does the routine change for the horse, like the day before the race? Assuming that they're at the track and all that kind of stuff already. Like they're a local horse running at a local track.
Well, with the trainer I'm with now, they do a cold walk, usually 10 to 30 minutes. Like mm-hmm. If they're racing soon, 10 to 30 minute cold walk before they train. And then they will do training. And then after their training, it's kind of like the same. We cool them down, make sure their muscles are still relaxed. But we also do, it doesn't really have a specific name, but we will hose them. Like we'll stand with them at the bath area and we'll hose off each leg for like 10, 15 minutes each. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So with cold water. And then after that, they will get checked. They'll go out to the road and they'll jog to make sure they get checked. Just to make sure that everything is good. There's no lameness. There's nothing going on. Their hooves get checked. Their legs get checked. Everything is, they have to be sound and healthy. And it's very strict mm-hmm. about that.
So then on race day, when they wake up in the morning on the race day, what happened? So first of all, let me ask you, when you've been working with a horse, today is race day, like what's the mood for the people who are around that horse the most often on race day? Are you excited to watch it run? Are you nervous to watch it run? Like where are you on that emotional spectrum?
We're excited for it, but we're scared because sometimes they will train So it's like sometimes it's more nerve-wracking because we're put on the spot because we can't let them get loose. We
Mhm.
have to make sure like they don't get hurt. And it's like the groom also is like, okay, like I got to make sure, everything is done perfectly. And it's exciting, but it's so nerve-wracking because I mean, God forbid a horse get loose on its race day because they get so excited when they're loose, they could run 18 miles and never give up. Like
Mm.
it's
And
it's
of course,
fun.
the bettors don't know that he got loose on race day.
Well, oh, trust me, they some sort of media thing will talk about it.
You think the horse knows it's race day? Do you see a different attitude
Oh,
with the horse?
no. They don't know that it's an exact race day, but you can tell when a horse is ready to race because they get spunky, they get like excited, like they're we call it fresh. Like they get fresh. So it's like what like they feel ready.
So that they have a sense of what's coming, and that competitive spirit starts to come out of him a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Like they don't necessarily know it's race day, but we know when they're fresh and like ready to go.
So now the race is run. The horse has done what it's going to do. They bring it back down, back to the barn. What happens after the race?
After the race, we come back and of course we do, the cool down. We walk them, just the same as any other day. Um Oftentimes the vet will come a lot of times too and they scope them to make sure, they put the scope in their nose, make sure, their lungs are healthy, everything's going good, they're not bleeding, they don't have ulcers, you know, all that good stuff. And then after that, for about 2 or 3 days, they usually do a cold walk so that they can kind of relax and uh what am I trying to say? Pretty much so that they aren't overworked.
Mhm.
But they do still come out in the afternoons so they can get out of their stall. They go in the round pen, so they can get out their energy. But they don't train for like 2 or 3 days after they race just so they can kind of relax and, get back into the groove,
Mm. All right.
whether they win or not.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure if they win, depending on how much money they win, sometimes they're retired to go to the farm and make babies, right?
Oh, exactly.
Indeed, the more money you win, the more often that happens. How are you tonight, Shawn?
I'm great. Kim, we'll go another way too. You say how much you love the horses and stuff. What are some horses that you've been able to work with that the public might know, and also the other trainers you have worked with?
I told you I might get emotional.
Oh, that's
That's
okay.
okay.
I've worked with Pletcher. I worked with him for 4 years. I've worked with Jeremiah Englehart. I've worked with George Arnold Jr. They're all so nice. I have yet to work with a trainer that isn't so dedicated to what they do. Oh man, Senbei, he's on fire right now with Clement. Um, I mean, I went to the very first Pegasus race with Pletcher and I took Neolithic. He came in third. As far as I know, he's still retired. They did retire him, but brought him back for like a year.
Mm.
But as far as I know, he's retired now. I mean, I worked with some horses that, at first they didn't do good at all, and the next thing you know, they're in the Kentucky Derby, like Patch.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Like he, super sweet horse. I don't know. It's hard when I think about some of the horses I've worked with because I haven't seen them in so long.
Hmm.
How many people usually are dedicated to like each horse? Is there a set amount or?
It depends. It depends on what time of year it is and whether or not uh like each trainer is allowed a certain amount of visas. So sometimes they don't necessarily get approved right away, or they have to wait. So like there were times when I was walking 11 horses a day, and then there were times when I would walk 3 horses a day. But it's it it depends on the time of the year and like what's going on at that point, I guess.
And then we'll backtrack. How did you get the job you got, and how did you start out with horses?
I met this girl that worked with horses, and she she she's the one that helped me find the job with Pletcher. I had never worked with horses before, but I'd been around them, here and there. My neighbor had a horse that I hung out with all the time. Um, but my friend Hannah, she is the one that introduced me and got me the job, and I've been with horses ever since, and that was 6 years ago.
Hmm. So you had mentioned that sometimes you've been hurt by the horses. How does that happen? Like this one,
Oh,
just like I like just in a foul mood. I don't want to walk today, and knocks you over. How does that work?
It's weird because sometimes horses, like I said, sometimes they feel fresh. So like if they're feeling spunky or whatever, they might just like kind of act out. Uh Sometimes they they pull like gymnastics moves. Well, they'll jump up, spin around in the air and then kick. Like it's quite fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
um I mean, I'll admit sometimes horses don't always get along with their grooms or riders.
Mm-hmm.
Um so they might, after training, they might come out of the stall upset or feisty. So that was how I was kicked
Mm.
uh one
So I didn't
time, and
like
I
the
broke.
groomer, didn't like the rider, and just said, you know what? I'm going to take it out on Kim. Boom.
Let's just say this horse was very unhappy with both when it
Oh,
came out of the stall.
so why didn't he take it out on one of them?
uh I don't think they gave him a chance.
So here you go. You take care of this type of thing, huh? I can
Well,
see that.
I mean, the rider comes back, the groom, is like, okay. So it's a hot walker. When they're done training, we have to take them right out of the stall so that, they get to cool off, get a bath, do all that good stuff. So that was that instance.
So when they say cold walker, so this is kind of help me understand what goes on in the back a little bit. Cold walker is when someone walks the horse right out of the barn, hasn't done anything yet. Then they get a little bit of training, and then when they're done training, they probably cool down a little bit. So is the hot walker somebody who walks the horse after the horse is kind of all heated up, or what does that role do?
No, a hot walker is somebody that, I mean, we cold walk also. Cold walk is when a horse hasn't trained yet or isn't going to train that day.
Mm-hmm.
So they do what's called a cold walk. So, they haven't trained yet. So, they're not hot. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They're not sweaty, worked up. And so a cold walk sometimes is, you know, we'll walk them so that they aren't stuck in their stall all day. We'll walk them before training just to kind of loosen up their muscles. Um, but a hot walker does the cold walks and, walks the horses after. It's just the job name, I guess, is a hot walker.
So that person does it after the training. So after the horse is kind of run and heated up and that sort of stuff.
Before and after.
Before and after. Okay. So
Yes.
gets it ready to go, so to speak.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we make sure that, they don't get put back in their stall to stiffen up or, colic or anything like that.
So how often do they get like brushed and bathed and all that sort of stuff?
Every day, sometimes twice a day.
Wow. Shawn, take
They've
note.
got they've got masseuses, they've got, chiropractors, they've got vets on the scene, they've got, sponge baths daily that tr- t- they've got a better life than, a lot of us A, a lot of us realize, or B, a lot of us even have.
Yeah, I'm
I
saying
wish someone would sponge bath me every day.
I wish I could get a massage once in a while.
For real.
Sitting at this desk all day. My back is all, I feel like, what's his name? Quasimodo sometimes at the end of the day. Shawn's like, who's that?
No. So when you're working like that, how long shifts, like how early are you getting up? I hear it's an early shift, and how long you going every day?
I have to be there between 5 and 6. Sometimes it's 5 o'clock. Sometimes it's 6 o'clock, depending on if it's, training like during the meet, or, how many horses are there. So, I mean, between 5 and 6. And then usually we go until 11:30, 12:30. But I mean, as a hot walker, we're constantly walking.
So a hot walker should be in good shape then, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had my baby a year ago. I lost 40 pounds.
From walking horses. Maybe it should be a new like how they have like things to help people get in shape. Maybe they should just like make people pay you to walk the horses so they can get in shape, right?
I mean, it's therapeutic and it's an exercise program.
So you mentioned that you went to the Pegasus.
Yes.
And then you had Patch go to the Kentucky Derby. How often do you travel with the horse? Do you do it all the time, some of the time? Or how does like the trainer come along and say, okay, you guys have done a great job for me. I'm taking this group with me this time. Is there a certain crew that always goes? How does the travel team get chosen?
Well, in the past, I don't travel anymore, unfortunately, since I had the baby. So, it makes it more difficult. But when I was traveling before, I would go back and forth to Florida. Pretty much, the team here in Saratoga would go to Florida. And then they would choose, certain people like to go to Kentucky, or like Louisiana, like stuff like that. But for the most part, I was just here in Florida. But now I'm just here all year round since I have the baby.
So did you ever make it to the Kentucky Derby?
Unfortunately, no.
No. Well,
But I can still say I was at the first Pegasus race.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Shawn, any other ideas that you have before we roll?
Yeah, I did have a question to you.
Yes, so I knocked it right out of your head.
I guess the question. There we go. I have it. Were you ever involved? Were you ever involved in horse racing as far as a fan or anything before you got these jobs?
Honestly, no.
No. Okay.
I'm going to be honest right now. I was actually against it. I was very much against.
You were one of those, huh?
I was one of those.
Boo, hiss.
And then, I don't know what it was. I don't know what happened, but I decided I wanted to work with horses. And then I started at the track, and I realized that trust me, I'm not just saying this to say it. It's so much different when you work there than what you actually see as someone that isn't there every day.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine. I mean, everybody's got an agenda, right? So people who are on one side have anti-horse racing people have an agenda. People in the business have an agenda, and they're going to do anything they can to paint their story in the light that makes them look the most positive. That's just the way the world works, right? And then you have to know that the truth is usually somewhere in between, but it's always good to hear somebody. Like they always say that folks who quit smoking are the most militant anti-smokers, right? So you did that too, huh?
I did. I haven't smoked a cigarette in almost 3 months.
That's a positive. So we do appreciate you coming, Kim. If somebody wants to follow along with you, and kind of keep track of what's happening on the track and off the track. Oh, I have one other question for you before I let you go.
Oh, sure.
So when you say you can tell by the spunkiness of where the horse is kind of at mentally, right? So if a horse is like say one's kind of like, and all of a sudden on race day, he's like, woohoo, and he's not normally like that. Are you going to run to the window?
No.
No, you don't bet?
I do. I didn't say that. I do bet, but I don't bet on how frisky they are or how calm they are. I bet on feelings.
So your personal like inner feelings, or just like how you felt the training went?
No, I just like inner feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we could have a horse do horrible as far as like not training very well, but still win a race. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But then there's horses that, you know, they're the favorites come racing day and they come in last. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know. And I will also say I bet on my favorite horses.
So you
whether they're, good racers or not. I'm there for the horses, not how well they race.
So for an emotional better, then I get it. That's
there we go. That's a good way to put it. I'm an emotional better.
You were talking about horses that finish last to their favorites. Those are usually the ones I pick, Shawn.
Yeah, I'm there with you. It's always funny when you play the favorite, how it goes last. And when you go against the favorite and go, I don't know what they're betting, that's the one that wires the field every time.
Or when you have 5 horses in the field and you pick 4, you always know which one's going to win. It ain't the 4 you picked either. It's the one you didn't pick.
Exactly. You can bet on 5 out of 6 horses, and that one horse you didn't bet on is going to be the one that wins. And you're like, darn it.
Yes, I should have just bet that one and got rid of all the rest of them.
For real.
So if folks want to follow along with you online socially, how would they do that? If they want to say hi?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have my Facebook, but it's under Kim Cantrell. That's my maiden name, Cantrell. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much all I have is Facebook. I don't do Twitter. I don't even know. I'm getting old. I don't even know what else is out there.
You have Instagram, right?
Nope. Well, yes.
No?
Yes, but I'm never, ever, ever on it.
Oh, okay.
I get notifications, but I never check it.
I'm on neither one either because I'm too old for that stuff too, right? I let Shawn take care of all of it. Boom.
You guys remember Zanga?
Zanga? I kind of remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I remember MySpace. I remember
MySpace, yep.
I remember putting a disc in the computer. Right? Do you remember that? When you had to put a disc in the computer in order to connect to the internet? Do you remember that or no?
No, but
I'm really dating myself. Huh?
I don't remember that. I do remember the AOL,
Yeah, the dial-up. Yep.
Well, right before that, you had to have the AOL disc, and you would put it in your computer, and then you had to have it in the hard drive in order to connect to the internet. That's how old I am.
I don't remember that one.
I had to walk uphill both ways in the snow. Let me tell you.
I know, right? It was never a downhill.
Never. It sucked. It's terrible. My life is still like that. It's always uphill. What a tragedy. Shakespeare should have written about it. All right, Kim, we do appreciate you coming along. We wish you luck. Congratulations on your daughter. And hopefully she grows up fast and then not too fast. It goes too fast.
Well, yeah, no.
Then you can start traveling with her. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. You too.
Bye-bye. As always, Shawn, fun stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Learning different things than, we just totally behind the scene type deal. So
yeah, I always kind of wanted to know what goes on behind the scenes because I felt like I say, race day is race day, right? And everything's all dialed up, ready to go. It's when everything is supposedly perfect. So I always like to get a glimpse of what happens behind the scenes so that I can have a better understanding of the process of getting from A to B. Because I'm kind of weird like that. I always, I'm always reading kind of crazy stuff and making weird references that people don't get. So
I also think what she said there about the treatment of the horses and stuff like that, more people need to see that and more people need to hear that. I mean, I've talked to her off of here and it's the same thing. She said she might get emotional talking about certain horses. I mean, they absolutely love these horses. So That's something I haven't been around a lot of horses. I see them on race day and would love to be more up close and personal. That's something,
just a lot of asses, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's something
am I to your right or to your left? I don't even know.
You're to my left.
All right.
But I'm to your right on the thing. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah. It's backwards.
But yeah, that's something, I'm hoping eventually going to more tracks and having more access and stuff, I can start understanding more of the horse part, because they're fantastic, and the little experiences I've had, they're awesome. And, these guys get to do it every day. I mean, even talking to some jockeys, people don't understand how much the jockeys love these horses too.
No, I'm sure they do. I mean, you couldn't be in that sport, I don't think, if you didn't, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
you said getting emotional at horses. I get emotional at them too, but it's usually like filled with 4-letter words when things don't go my way.
Yeah, it's a bad emotional or a really happy emotional, with that one being the least.
Right. It's a bipolar sort of emotional thing. Yay, I'm smart. I picked the right one. And damn it, you're one dumbass for picking that other one. Right, for sure. So I want to get into a little bit of news today, Shawn, here in Chicago. I meant to bring this up before. Richard Duchessois. That's an interesting name to try to pronounce if you don't know how it's pronounced, right? Made it to 100, Shawn. Ironically, I think in some respects, he did, was the founder, a big partner of Arlington Park. And then after Arlington Park closes, that's that. I wonder if it broke his heart.
Possibly. I mean, I when you did send this, that's kind of what I thought too. He's at 100, so I mean, it could have happened anyway. But yeah, it's kind of like that whole thing. Somebody works their whole life, yada yada yada. They retire, and that's what they were living for, and then they pass away, type deal. So yeah,
that
sad to hear.
One powerful dude, man. Let me tell you, because he made his money in the railroad industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand. And anyway, but I spent many days at Arlington Park, because it's not too far from here. I used to drive over there down Euclid Road all the time. Anyway, to go to Arlington Park, and he, I think his company made double-decker train cars. So when you see like the freight trains go by, and some of them they have like one packed on like two, one cargo on top of another cargo thing. My understanding is he made those containers. Someone told me, so this is all hearsay. It's probably true, but he was so powerful that he actually got he actually got it written into tax law that those particular type of cargo carts got a tax break from people who bought them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not. I may have just made it all up, Shawn.
And I'm just going to be one of those guys that goes with it.
I can say anything, yeah. But anyway, no, that's what I actually heard from people around us. So I spent a lot of days in the paddock with trainers. I told you, one of the guys, my friend's father, and it just made me do all these kind of crazy physical things for money to see if I can do how many push-ups I can do. Can I do 6 inches or plank for like a minute and a half, that kind of crazy stuff. But it was kind of fun. I made a lot of easy money that way. Then turned around and went and lost it on his horses.
At least you gained the money to lose,
Yeah, playing with house money, so to speak.
Yeah.
So interestingly, considering the conversation that we just had with Kim, one of the stories I saw today was on Pollock Report is 2/3 of vets are concerned that they're injecting horses' joints too frequently, Shawn. And if only the CDC would pay attention to this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Did I just get it kicked off YouTube?
No, I think we're still live. We're good.
All right, good.
We'll just stop you there, and then we'll be good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, this probably is not surprising. The way the medicine is and how much it's happening. I mean, absolutely, there's got to be a concern there. You would hope, again, if they can improve it somehow. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I can understand when you run, like, we were talking about running and not going straight to the couch. And I think this is probably where the hot walking and the cold walking and all this stuff comes into play, and making sure the horse is hosed off with cold water to reduce inflammation, because the cold, right, it reduces inflammation. It's like when you play sports. I don't know if you've ever done this, Shawn, but I hurt my back wrestling one time. So we had a physical training because the school I went to, it was like all physical trainer, gym teachers kind of stuff. And so for therapy, they say there's a bathtub over there, right? So it's one of those big round, like tin-looking things. And
like the ice bathtub?
Yeah, it's about 4 feet deep, 3 feet deep. And I look at it, and it's like ice with water. It's not water with ice. It's ice with water. And
yeah, I've never done it, but it looks painful.
Ooh, they tell me you got to get in. And I'm like, what do you mean I got to get in? It's like, my back hurts. My legs don't hurt. My toes don't hurt. My midsection doesn't hurt. They're like, no, you got to get in. So I got in, man, let me tell you something, brother. Oh, it's not cold, dude. It burns. And when you get in the water to a certain part, Sean, that if it's too cold or too hot, my Lord.
That's where I was going to go. How long did it take you to get in? Because even a pool when I'm really cold, it takes me 10 minutes to get in the pool fully. I couldn't imagine. Did you slowly go in, or did you just do it all at once?
I just did. You know what? F it. I'm jumping in and getting it over with. And I tell you, it was it burned, man. And it's one of those things that leaves a mark, like a scar. It's just, there's no getting rid of it. So I understand why they do that with the horses. So it's to reduce the inflammation. So I would think an ice bath or that sort of stuff could help with the inflammation. But when you go, I feel it. I got a treadmill. When I'm done running, my knees hurt. I'm walking up the stairs, I feel like a crickety old man, because, well, I am a crickety old man, but I even feel more crickety than usual. So it doesn't surprise me that there's some injections there. I think this is a cool thing here, Sean. At Kentucky, they're considering putting in more information about workouts and fewer coupled entries. I think that we might see Trevor and Katie then move over there if there's not going to be coupled entries. They don't have to worry about that. But I also think it's important that the horse player gets more information, like when a horse gets loose on the backside on race day and you don't know about it. We can count that as a workout.
Yeah, definitely. The more info we get, the better, even though sometimes that's better. That just confuses you and puts you in the wrong direction anyway, but that's going to happen regardless. So the more information we can get, the better. As far as the coupled entries, the less we can get of that, the better, because that's just a mess in itself.
Yeah, that is the paralysis by analysis, as you say, right? Yeah, absolutely. So I think, one of the things that happens, Tom and I, we do the Foreign Fridays. So, you look at information from Dubai, you're looking at information from Australia, from England, from France, from all these different race courses around the world. And they have far more information available in these programs than they have here in the United States. And I don't know how much helpful it is, because honestly, a lot of the stuff I don't understand the layout. So I do even more like remedial handicapping with the international horses. They do better, which is really funny. Real basic stuff. How's the horse run at the distance? How's the horse run at the track? What kind of form is he in? I pick winners. And then if I go through like 20 different data points, it's like, ooh.
I'll tell you, Australia, I was big into Australia when I was off of work and COVID and everything else, and I could stay up till 3 a.m. Australia was just awesome too, because they had so many announcers, and they would talk about each horse. And they would go into so much depth that you didn't even need a program. You just need to listen to the announcers. And it was so helpful. We have a lot of dead air in our broadcasts when different tracks. They talk about them for like 3 minutes, some of these tracks, and the rest, they're just showing you video. But Australia is really good with that, going into depth. You don't even need a book. You can just take what they're saying and use it as you will.
Sounds interesting to me. You talk about that. So the first time Tom and I did a show together, right? I think we did the Ascot, which is a big thing, right? It's like their Derby over there in England or something along those lines. The Queen goes. It's like it's an affair. So I turn on my account, the Twin Spires or Bet Us or whatever the hell account I was using at that time, wherever the bonus was available, and so I'm watching, and the first race goes off, and I kind of catch it at the last minute. So I'm watching the race. And then, like, you're talking about the people who come on to talk about the horses. Now, this is the Ascot, right? So I'm expecting to see dudes and, bow ties and top hats and, women dressed to the nines. And there's some dude sitting on the couch with his girlfriend or wife, and he's got like a medium on, and he should be wearing an extra large. And I'm like, what the hell is this? But in any case, that was my experience with that. That just made me laugh. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm gonna listen to this dude.
Now, Australia, when they didn't have the restrictions and stuff, a lot of the trainers were on site. They'd always go interview the trainer before and after the race. Like, it was top notch, and I couldn't always figure out Australia, but if our coverage could be as good as that, it'd be fantastic.
Maybe they should stick you and I and
there we go.
And Terry. I think we would light it up.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, indeed. All righty, Sean, any final thoughts before we get up and out of here? Who is our guest tomorrow night?
17-year-old jockey Diego Herrera. He's been doing double duty, Santa Anita, Los Alamitos, working out all the time. And he's one of the, I've talked to him. I haven't talked to him in person, more just messaging and stuff. But from what they say and what I've talked to him, he's one of the most mature 17-year-old you'll ever meet, and one of the hardest workers. And he's got a bright future. So we'll find out a lot more about him tomorrow. So Horse Race Today, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And that's to the number 2. And then subscribe to YouTube. We're getting closer and closer to the 1K. And we thank you all for that. And if you can keep getting the word out, and whoever hasn't subscribed, please subscribe.
Please subscribe on YouTube. Open up your window, yell to your neighbor, hey, so what are you doing tonight? Subscribe to Horse Racing Radar TV over on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate that, 100% for sure. That would be a great show. I agree with you as well. So also on, who do we have on Thursday night?
G Money, Delta Downs.
G Money. He goes with the G.
Yeah.
Right out of the box. All right. Who is G Money?
Everybody knows who G Money is. What is it? Over 6,000 wins now. I mean, and again, a very, very nice guy. So he'll have plenty of great things to say. And then next week for Horse Center 2, Monday we have trainer Tim Kleishaw. And then Tuesday we have Mike Smith.
Sure we do.
Yeah, Mike Smith confirmed, and we should have no problems Tuesday.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Terry and I will be back tomorrow to talk a little bit about Gulfstream Park. We'll make our picks there. I'm kind of happy about my picks today and sad about my picks today, Shawn. I hit the opening pick 4. What I'm happy about is that I was able to look at the card and figure out where I was likely to be right and where I was likely not to be right. And I don't know if that's like the whole thing of those who say they can and those who say they can't are likely right. So I thought I'm going to win in the beginning and I'm not going to win in the end, and kind of did myself in from the get-go. But hopefully tomorrow I feel good about the entire card. On Thursday, we're going to do Aqueduct. So at the NYRA, or NYRA, as I was informed, you're supposed to say. So we'll be doing that. And Thursday night, when we talk to G Money, we're going to be talking about races at Delta Downs. So that's a new track for all of us. And then, of course, on Friday, I don't know what time that I'm going to do for Foreign Fridays. And Saturday, Terry and I will be back with all the stakes races. So look forward to tomorrow night's show with the young jockey. Look forward to talking to him. Diego, yes.
Diego Herrera, yep.
And I look forward to Gulfstream tomorrow. As always, Shawn, it's been fun tonight. So we hope that every single one of every single time you win the photo, we got to come up with something. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Like Shawn said, if you haven't yet, please subscribe on YouTube. I'm actually going to get a video that does all this stuff later on. And then hit us up at Horse Race, the number 2 day on Twitter and Facebook. Have a great night, everybody. Got to find the right button now, Shawn.